Today I have my first Megyn Kelly video where she talks to Jordan Peterson about Andrew Tate's pathological masculinity and what Trump haters get wrong. So let's get straight into the video.
Talked about this Democratic governor plan, at least in three instances, of somehow recruiting young men back to the Democrat Party. Those in power over in the U.S. Senate, for example, seem to have a different approach in mind. And
No agenda. Why do the right always do this? We're not ideological. Like, Jordan Peterson has done this before. Oh, distrust ideology. But you have a clear ideology and she has a clear agenda. It's very strange. Like, why? Just be honest. I have a bias. I have an agenda. I have an ideology. Okay. You, you know she's lying, right?
all I can guess is that this is their idea of the masculinity that they have erased from their own party. They think this is how to restore it. You tell me whether you agree and whether this is effective. Take a look.
Hey there, Chris Murphy.
Chris Murphy.
It's been a very long day today, full of a lot of bullshit, a lot of threats to democracy.
Tonight I want to talk about Signalgate and what a colossal fuck up this is in terms of our national security.
Which to divert
Adam Schiff.
people from the number one issue we have against these bastards. Sorry, these people.
So three U.S. senators, and one of whom is the minority leader. More and more, off-color words. I'm a big fan of swearing, as my audience knows. It only works if it comes organically to you. This did not seem organic at all. Chuck Schumer seemed uncomfortable actually saying it there. But my own belief, Jordan, is
Well, Chuck Schumer's a cook. He's got to go. He is just propping up MAGA at this point. But I don't get like the point. Masculinity is a different thing. It's a difficult thing. It's a nebulous thing, and there's different archetypes of what it means to be a man. And for so long, this archetype has been quite narrow for many men. And we need to have that conversation of what does it mean to be a man? Because, like women, there's different types of women. There's really strong, independent women who are career driven and, tomboys and love sports, love physical activity. There's men who are more feminine, more emotional. What does it mean to be a man isn't just this one thing. And to say that more feminine men aren't men, for me, it's just like you're trying to tell what men should be. And I just don't like that because men should have freedom to express in whatever way they want. And that's not sexy, it's not glamorous, it's not prescriptive. Maybe what people want to hear is like 12 ways to be a man. I understand that's our culture now where people want to fit themselves into boxes and go, yes, I'm this, I'm that, I'm an autistic man, pansexual, and whatever I am. But that should be your own decision. And we've been told as men what we are. And I don't like that. And I think it's okay to question masculinity.
that this is their belief of how to win young men back.
I don't think that's the case. I don't think Chuck Schumer does not care about winning people over. He's firm. He thinks he's right. He knows he's right. I don't think this is an attempt to posture his mind like, yeah, we're strong men here. We swear. We have a few drinks. We have a cigar. We're men, real men. We slap women's asses. We know how it works. We're men. I don't think they're trying to do that. I think they're realizing actually we need to fight back here. You don't appease fascism. You don't just let fascism kind of creep in and go, oh, yeah, well, you actually need to fight it. You need to defend what you believe in, everything you believe in. So I think that's just what they're doing. And they're realizing, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to appease fascism.
That's a topic well worth delving into, partly because would also enable us to talk a little bit about what's happening hypothetically on what is hypothetically described as the right. So,
Oh, I hate this sophistry. Like, hypothetically on the right. You're on the right, Jordan. You know you are. You're a conservative. He's so angry already. He's getting red and he's just so much anger in his heart. Which isn't good for you, Jordan. It's not good for your health. And then he talks about Andrew Tate. It's not hypothetical. These are real world ideologies, positions. Why is it like, who buys into this and think, yeah, he said hypothetical? Intelligent guy.
I guess you might, there's a number of people who have influenced young men in a more conservative direction. And I'm one of them, and Ben Shapiro is another.
Oh, he is concerned.
Andrew Tate is a third. And I warned people back in 2016 that if they...
I'm so... Ben Shapiro? I mean, I have nothing against his sense of masculinity at all. Like, he's a guy, he's quite a feminine guy in a way. He's quite a small guy. He talks quick. He poses as this like logic lord, like this big. I mean, he's not. He's very emotional. His arguments are so emotional, which I'm fine with. Men should be emotional too. I think men's emotions are as valid as anyone else's. But the idea that this is what we've got for men, like these are the role models for men: Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, and Andrew Tate. Okay.
They kept making men weak, that there would be a consequence of that.
What does that mean? What does that mean? He doesn't go into it, obviously. They never do, but making men weak. What, so having emotions or not sticking to this kind of quite narrow archetype of masculinity is weak? Having emotions, realizing that the narrative of masculinity of the last 5,000 years, however long, maybe isn't good for men. There's a reason why men are doing things to themselves that, unaliving themselves, that men die younger, men are more likely to have heart attacks, they have so much stress, repressed emotion in them. Can we not talk about men's mental health in a way that goes, actually, like, I'm not a conventional man. I'm not, I don't play sports. I used to skateboard when I was younger. Is that a masculine? I think it is. I think skateboarding is pretty hardcore. You got to have a high pain threshold. You got to be confident in yourself. And he does support skateboarders. He actually does. Like, one of his rules is like, leave skateboarders be. And I agree with that. But this kind of, men are being wakened. No, they're not. We're just having a conversation, a cultural conversation of what it means to be a man. And that's okay. We need to have that.
Because weak men do very terrible things. They turn, for example, for the models to people like Andrew Tate. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up in relationship to the clips that you showed me is because you put together 3 clips that are predicated on the assumption that masculinity has this kind of brusque, pushy, I don't give a damn if I swear on national TV because I'm so tough kind of mien to it. And it's very easy for weak men to assume that power is the defining characteristic of a respectable man, like an actually masculine man. And that's what Andrew Tate, at least in part, purports to sell his audience. So now Andrew Tate is very...
And so does Trump, but I don't think he'll make that link. But Trump is the same. Like, he is a weak, insecure man who projects this desperate need of power, women, sex. I'm a property mogul. I'm all these things that, look, Dad, I won in life. I'm not a loser. Because his dad abused him, called him a loser. And that's what you get, these weak men who try to make up for it and go, yes, I am this. Andrew Tate's the same.
Bad actor, to say the least. He's a pimp, an electronic pimp. And I think pimps are possibly the lowest form of male life because they are parasitic on women. And that's about as bad as you can get if you're a man. Maybe you can get lower because you could be parasitic on children. But being parasitic on women, that's pretty bad. And he's taught his followers how to be this, playboy Lothario type of love him and leave him, do it my way or hit the goddamn highway sort of attitude. And, if you've been demoralized your entire life and you haven't been attractive to women and you're not doing well in your career and you're very disoriented and you've had no role models at all, then someone who has all the trappings of surface success like Andrew Tate and who's very good at flaunting it.
Demoralized your whole life. Okay, plenty of men will be. They'll be disenfranchised, alienated. But often this is a cause of deeper things of capitalism, not being able to find a career, not being able to afford university. Like, what jobs are there for men? Like, in the UK, you've got certain choices you can go down. But the idea that, and men do have it tough, men have got the problems just like anyone else. Women, they have problems. And I wouldn't say men and women, it's not a competition of who has more, like, there's different types of issues men and women have. But the idea that, because again, he's talking about, he's all about individual responsibility. And it's a balance between culture, influence, and like economic, systemic issues, and then individual responsibility. But I thought this guy was about individual responsibility. He doesn't talk this way about racism or misogyny against women. He'll be like, no, but he acknowledges that there's structural problems for men, but he won't do that for trans people or anyone else. And this is my problem, because then this analysis becomes disingenuous and you go, well, you acknowledge, and again, they always do it, identity politics. Oh, don't talk about identity politics. Can we talk about men's issues? I said it the other day. Oh, yeah, you can talk about men's issues. Okay, but why can't we talk about trans issues in the same way, where we look at systemic issues, how men aren't doing as well in education, they are struggling with their mental health, how, they're having a lot of problems that are real that we need to deal with. But no, like, what if I just said to him, what about individual responsibility? That he always says, like, oh, you gotta, keep your own house in order before you start criticizing other people. He'd go like, oh no, there's systemic issues. And it's like, okay, I agree, but why not extend that to other people? But the problem is that for a lot of young men, what they're being sold is just like arrogance. And people like Andrew Tate, even Jordan Peterson, like, how is he defined? Like, yeah, he has this pseudo intellectual veneer over it, but it is similar in a way of like, be strong, be masculine, be assertive, have control of your life. That's a lot of pressure for a lot of men, because they go, well, actually, I can't afford a house. I can't afford to take girlfriends on dates. Like, I can't meet this expectation that you're giving me, Jordan. And then they feel like failures. And they go on, and I'll continue the video.
Can look like just the medicine you need. And to give the devil his due, I can understand why men who have nothing would at least want to have something. And I can see that Andrew Tate offers that to them. And that is not.
But men who have nothing, I mean, he's talking very broad here. Like, who is he specifically talking about? Like a young incel guy who, because now they are the biggest victims and they play the victim now, where, oh, men, it's gone the other way. Women have got too much power. Now men are the most downtrodden, repressed group in society. And it's this victim mentality, which is simply not true. There's just guys out there who aren't great boyfriends. I'm sorry. They aren't. They see women as the enemy. They see women as like, oh, women, they expect a 10, they expect 6-figure salary, they expect a 6-pack. Have you ever met a woman? They are not fussy. They are not fussy. Like, you see on the streets, some of the most beautiful women with some of the most ugly guys. How do they get it? It's personality, it's humor, intelligence. But for figures like Andrew Tate and Donald Trump, what kind of women are they getting? Women who want their money, essentially. Like, Donald Trump has no personality. Yeah, he's funny, he's probably charismatic to an extent. But there's a reason why Melania's with him, and it's for his money. Same with Andrew Tate. It's for the money. They're not interested in them because they're nice guys. It's a transactional thing. And do we want to... A lot of people are in transactional relationships. And there's a certain, element of that in any relationship. There's economic realities of a relationship. But is that what they're promoting? Is that what people want? It's like, oh, what can I get out of this woman? Well, she's hot. What can I get out of this man? Well, he's got money. It's deeply depressing.
The advocacy for Andrew Tate, as I've already made my view of him very clear. Now, the left likes to think that Andrew Tate and me, for example, are gateways to the alt-right, and that somehow we're the same. And we're not the same at all. And what I'm...
You're not the same, but you're adjacent. And there's a relationship. There's a reason why people talk about you and Andrew Tate together. Obviously, it's a very different aesthetic and a very different image that you portray with your suits and your kind of Englishness and your intellectual kind of reference to Dostoevsky and great literature. And you're a guy, you're kind of an intellectual for people who don't read. Like, people who don't read books will read Jordan Peterson and think, wow, this guy's original and he's clever and he's a philosopher and he's this theologian who's, oh my God, I've never heard these ideas before. But the ideology, the underlying ideology is very similar. You are promoting this capitalist idea of like consumption, take control of your life, don't really question the system. We live in a hierarchical society where men kind of are on the top. Women need to know their place. Women are chaos. Men are order. And if we just went back to this illusory past when men were strong and women knew their place, everything would be fine. So, yeah, you're not as verbose and violent, but the underlying ideology is more similar than you think, Jordan.
Offering young men is the pathway to adulthood through responsibility, not through the exercise of power. Now, if you're powerful and you're strong and you're forthright and you're articulate, then you can harness all that power into your responsibility, and that can make you an even better man. But if you weaken men, they will 100%, they'll become nihilistic, they'll become hedonistic, and they'll worship power. And Andrew Tate is exactly the face of power worship. And you can bloody well expect to see a lot more.
What do you mean by weakened men? Because I think of Donald Trump there. When you abuse a child, you define them by there's winners and losers, like Fred Trump did to Donald Trump. You weaken them. I think that's bad. I don't think we should do that to men. But there's not just one way, like, oh, feminizing society. That's what they talk about, like making them too, cooks to feminism, and feminism's gone too far. What about the opposite, when masculinity and defining yourself by just success and you got to be a winner in life? What about when that makes men weak? Like Andrew Tate, like Donald Trump, like to an extent yourself, Jordan. What about that? They won't talk about that because then it's like you get into the nuances of actually how complicated these things are and gender dynamics and how we create these things, like what it means to be a man. We created that. Man is a signifier, which we determine the signified, i.e. the meaning. We need to make it for ourselves. That's hard because then it makes think. Then you've got to go, actually, what does it mean to be a man? And that's a complicated question, which they don't want to have because they've already got their pre-written scripts. And I don't think that's good for anyone.
More of that coming down the pipes. And if the Democrats are daft enough to turn to
He's getting angry.
representation of masculinity because they're too foolish to understand the relationship, let's say, between responsibility and proper masculinity, then they deserve exactly what's coming to them. And
what's proper masculinity? Like, what's a proper man? Is it just taking responsibility? Does Donald Trump do that? Is he a man who takes responsibility for his actions? Does he... Have you ever heard this man say, yeah, I was wrong. I apologize. I'll do better. No. So what is he talking about here? Like, what is proper masculinity? I'm sure he'd have an answer, but what? Like, would he say I'm a man? I'm not a real man? Like, do I fit into that? No. Okay. Maybe. Oh, a little bit. Not a proper man. Okay.
will come to them is no increase whatsoever in their approval rating among young men because anyone with a clue can see through what they're doing in 15 seconds flat.
I think you're giving too much credit to Trump. I mean, media, Joe Rogan, Theo Vaughn, these people on the right, they've been bought, they've been captured. There's the trend that's kind of, it's swung to the right. Everyone's anti-woke. It will swing back. It inevitably will. It already is in a way. We're seeing 2 months in, Trump is not doing well. And people, actually, young men, Gen Z, are actually not supporting Trump as much as they were a few months ago. He's losing support. So don't act like it's this orchestrated thing. And no, these trends kind of move back and forth. And you're going to see a backlash against Trump's cuts, his fascism, essentially.
But they'll also do nothing but promote people like Andrew Tate, and then we'll have serious trouble. That's for sure.
You know, it's
Maybe you could make an argument that Andrew Tate came from the left. I honestly think he came from Trump. I think he came from Trump. And you could argue there's a dialectical relationship between the left and right. Like, the right respond to the left, and the left respond to the right. And you have that relationship where history is that pendulum. I think that's true. But Trump gives permission to act verbosely, to treat women, to... Up to that point, there was there's a way politicians spoke. They probably lied, but they weren't as brazen with it. They would believe what they were saying. They'd have some form of sincerity. Trump just blew that up. So did Boris Johnson, in a way, where just now, misinformation, lies, half-truths, you don't know if Donald Trump is, well, obviously he's lying, but does he believe what he's saying? No, I don't think he does. But he's so shameless about it. It's like, is this what masculinity is? Because I'd say masculinity is about pursuit of truth. And I think Jordan Peterson would agree with that to an extent. But he supports Donald Trump, a known liar, a brazen liar.
It's interesting because I listened to a bunch of leftists talk about this issue in recent weeks because I'm curious to see what they think the problem is. And many, if not all, blame President Trump. They think he's, a bully.
He is.
He swears occasionally. He's not nice to people, they think.
No.
They think he's bad to women.
Objectively, he's bad to women. Cheated on women. Numerous allegations of sexual assault and sexual misconduct. Friends with Epstein. Unequivocally, he does not treat women well. I don't think he likes women from how he treats them. We don't talk about that. They won't talk about that because they're fine with it. Because if they weren't fine with it, they would talk about it. So as far as I'm concerned, they're fine with how Donald Trump treats women. But for Andrew Tate, it's fine. Is that because he's a Muslim? Is it because he's so brazen in it? Trump is brazen. Like, where's the line where they go, oh yeah, we don't like, where is it?
dumped in there for good measure too. As same on all those fronts. And what
Elon Musk is not a role model for any men. I hope he's not anyway. He's not charismatic. He's not charming. He's not good looking. You think Amber Heard was with Elon for his humor and intelligence? No, she was there for the money. The same with any woman who's gone out with Donald Trump. Yeah, he's more charismatic. He's more funny. He can be charming, but he's not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy. So, yeah.
again, Jordan, I think they've totally misunderstood what it is about Trump and, for that matter, Elon, that is drawing young men to them. I don't think it has anything to do
Power to
with
power.
Trump and his behavior toward women 30 years ago.
It is. They like it. They like it. This is why it's a problem, because they like it. Some people will pretend they're like, oh no, I don't like that about Trump. No, they disavow, but they like it, because if it was a Democrat or anyone else, Trump is uniquely shameless in this. They'd be like, oh no, that's disgusting. I hate it. No, I can't support that. Like they do with Andrew Tate. They do with Andrew Tate, but not with Trump. Fascinating.
And I don't think it's Trump's occasional dropping of a swear, although I do think that makes him seem much more relatable to, especially the working class. You know, that's how folks talk. That's how I talk too, frankly. But I think it makes him more relatable as opposed to a Mitt Romney who's just perfectly buttoned up and smoothed out. And, you know, there's less to sort of grab onto, less grit. Elon is incredibly successful, which I think everyone can respect. But he's not out there. I don't know. Maybe he's a little pugilistic these days because he's in it and he's getting punched so often. But can you speak to that? Why do you think the left thinks that what's happening on the right with respect to some admiration for Andrew Tate, etc., is really the fault of Donald Trump? That's how they interpret it. These toxically masculine guys are the product of Trumpism.
Well, it's partly because the left doesn't have a vision of responsible masculinity. So it's either, soy boy or bully. That's their whole theory of masculinity. And if you shouldn't be a bully because that's the worst. And actually, that's not the worst. If you think bully is the worst, you know very little about worst. There's
Such a straw man. Such a straw. Yeah, that's it. Soy boy. I think that's a right wing framing. They see you as like a soy boy or you're the strong guy. Like this, you're feminine or masculine. And that binary is just so false. It's a false dichotomy of like what men and women are. Like it's like, why? Like sometimes there's moments where I can be assertive and strong and angry. And so sometimes I can be a bit more reflective and go, actually, I'm quite upset about this and I want to express my feelings and talk about how I feel. Does that make me less of a man? Maybe. Maybe I'm a soy boy. Maybe we're all contradictions. Maybe we have feminine, masculine in all it's this straw man of like, oh yeah, like being a bully is one of the worst things. I think it is, because a bully can be like when you're a child, you're being bullied by the big guy who's insecure and his parents don't love him. Or it can be Donald Trump or Adolf Hitler. I think bullies are the worst people because bullying can go far to an extent where you become a dictator and you lust for power and you become an Andrew Tate, a Donald Trump. So yeah, I think bullies are bad. And they can become more than that and go darker into their kind of a bully. Because a bully sounds like, oh, he's a bit of a bully. Bullying can be really one of the worst things you can do to someone.
abysses of hell that make bully look like paradise. And the Democrats, the progressives, are very naive in their conceptualization of malevolence and evil. Like they tend to think that bad people are victims. It's like that's because in their world, bad people don't exist, and in my world, bad people exist, and I know what they're like. And
Bad people exist, but often it's a product of their environment. Like Donald Trump is a bad person. But it's because he wasn't born that way. He's a product of his environment. A wealthy man who abused him, saw their relationship as transactional, was a pathological liar. That's why Trump is now a liar. And that's what you get. Is he evil? No, I don't like that term. Yeah, there's a reason why the left don't talk, because Hannah Arendt spoke about the banality of evil. It's very easy to say someone's evil because you dismiss the background, they dismiss the environment that caused that evilness. Very easy to just say, oh, someone's evil. I mean, I use it as clickbait, but I don't believe in it. I think things are way more complicated than that. But to say like, oh, the left, just victims. Sometimes someone can be a victim and they can be both. Sometimes that's true. Often someone like Donald Trump is a perceived victim. He's not a victim at all. He's not a victim at all. He's just someone who can't take responsibility for how he treats people. And then he perceives himself like, and this is fascism. It's constantly on the defense, like, oh, they're coming to get me. No, you're going after Jews. Don't play the victim. Donald Trump, you're going after immigrants, trans people, everyone, illegal aliens. Oh, playing the victim. Going after women. Oh, playing the victim. So it just shows you how flawed his thinking is, because he knows evil. He knows evil. What, just the left? Okay, the left are evil. Okay, great.
Bully is a pretty desirable form of bad person compared to the real monsters. And the Democrats just have no clue of that at all. And so they don't know what sort of man boy would admire if he was set on the right path. Because, well, for example, they think marriage is a patriarchal, oppressive institution. And so a man who's willing to offer himself as a...
Well, it is. It was literally used to be based on transaction. The father of the daughter would transfer that woman to the ownership, essentially, of the new husband. I mean, yeah, it does have origins in medieval patriarchal dynamics. And that's okay to criticize that. That's okay to criticize the history and how women have been controlled. Like, literally until the 17th century, women were seen and not heard. They were treated like children. And you think of the advances in the last 50 years alone, women have come a long way in the last 100 years, 50 years. Do you want to go back to that? I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he does. I don't know.
Husband and a father. Well, he's just another bloody oppressor, isn't he?
I mean, from that standpoint, they should love even Elon, given his
well,
failure to
and
marry and have a bunch of
paradoxical.
kids.
Well, it is one of the paradoxical things about Elon too. Like, he's a very weird conservative. So he's not a conservative, and neither is Trump, obviously.
Neither is Trump.
No, and
I agree, they're fascist. But which is a form of conservatism?
also, by the way, the divide in our society is no longer between left and right. Those categories don't even make any sense anymore, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, one of the Democrats whose video you posted earlier pointed out that, increasingly the Democrats are the party of women. And that's part of what's happening, is we're actually seeing a sex divide in terms of political affiliation. But it's not because the women...
Not true. It varies country to country. More so in South Korea, maybe a bit in America. Women are more progressive, men. But that's still left and right. Women are on the left and men are more on the right. But you'll see that shift change as culture moves on, and you see this backlash to Trump, and people go, maybe that's too far. Maybe now we need to go at least somewhere in the middle, if not towards the left.
Men are becoming left and the men becoming right. It's because the left is now feminine and the right is now masculine. And the political relationships have become virtually undetectable.
Oh.
The old categories don't work. Now, it isn't only that the left has become feminine and the right has become masculine, but that's a big part of what's driving.
I honestly think it's the way around. I think the right is so feminine, so emotional, so emasculated, so weak, so cooked to billionaires and power and just stuff that doesn't make you happy. Doesn't make you happy. And I think it's strong. I think it is strong to be like, actually, relationships are more important than power and prestige and status. My love for my friends, my family, my partner, that's strong. That's, if you want to talk about masculinity, that's a strong place. So I think it's the actual opposite. But masculinity, in their eyes, I think does mask a very deep insecurity. And we need to confront that insecurity. Why are men insecure? I think it's because the image of a man we've been given, it's not good for men. Not all men, anyway.
The strangeness of today's political discourse, because it's also the case that the Democrats have become pathologically feminine. And that's not the same thing as becoming feminine. Now, the Democrats will say, well, the Republicans have become pathologically masculine. And there is a danger of that. Like Andrew Tate's the face of pathological masculinity. And you can see that to some degree in Trump, because he likes to throw his weight around. And he's actually very good at it. But fundamentally, like, first of all, you can look at his family. I mean, they're a pretty high functioning bunch. There's no Hunter Biden in the Trump tribe, you know, and he seems to get along pretty well with his wife, and she seems to be a pretty classy kid.
Really? Melania hates Trump. What are you talking about? Insane.
She stays in her lane, and I don't mean that in any misogynist way. I mean that she's
Of course you don't, Jordan.
In their deal.
yeah. Well, she's got enough humility to play her role well and to be apparently satisfied and grateful for that by all appearances. And
He's not good at reading people, is he? He's really not good. For a previous psychologist, he is not very good at reading people.
so, you know, Trump is a blustery character, and he's definitely got that kind of throw your shoulders around masculinity that is attractive to people who confuse power with masculinity. But he's also, there's a lot more to Trump than that. I mean, he's got a
Really?
vicious sense of humor. He's got a tremendous amount of energy, and he's been successful at like 5 impossible things, just like Musk. And you can throw that
Has
on
he?
him as you would if you felt that all four
He hasn't really. Like, okay, he's president twice. That's pretty successful. But as a businessman, not really. Like, he's had so many failed business, and most of the time in the early 90s when he was at his lowest point, he was bailed out by his dad. If he wasn't bailed out, we would not know who Donald Trump is today. So, I think he's more of a failed businessman by any measure.
forms of capitalist success are just another manifestation of oppressive patriarchy. But, you know, that's a pretty idiot theory unless you're a progressive leftist.
Tariff wars, stubborn.
I love Jordan. I need to do more Jordan. He's just so entertaining. Like, he is entertaining like Trump. Like, what they say is meaningless, but they're entertaining. And that's all that matters, isn't it? In this day and age, they're entertaining. We can, you know, not think about the ontological void for 5 minutes, not think about our descent into fascism. We can have a little laugh together. So hit the like button and I'll see you in the next video.